Hello my lovely viewers, thank you so much for supporting my little channel. Please, if you're finding it for the first time, leave a subscribe, like, and comment to motivate our journey. Enjoy the story. Pamela rushed into the luxurious hotel event hall, her hands pulling the wedding dress that flowed on the floor. All eyes were on her. She was sweating. Upon she had stayed in Korea for years, she still hadn't gotten rid of her Nigerian lifestyle. Is he here yet? She asked the doorman, who shook his head with a sad facial expression. Today was her wedding with the love of her life, Banjo. After years of trying to prove to her parents that they truly loved themselves and that they were meant to be, her parents and his parents finally approved, and right now it was their wedding day. Pamela hadn't been so anxious in her entire life. She wanted this day to come and go, yet it was looking so long. Haewon, a young, beautiful Korean lady who had somehow become Pamela's best friend in the long run, rushed into the auditorium, looking worried. I've been trying to reach him. His line is also not connecting on my end. She looked so breathless. Did something happen to him? Pamela muttered aloud. Your parents will soon be here. If we don't organize things, this will be the end of your relationship with Korean men. Haewon walked close to her, her face suddenly looking serious. And you know what's at stake here? Not just the house they bought for you in Gangnam, but your 30% shares. Pamela faced her after the brief pause, already feeling annoyed and anxious. We must do whatever we can to make them believe and let you off this marriage thing. Haewon added calmly. Not just Western parents loved arranged marriages, even African parents do too, and Pamela was a victim. For the first time, she wanted to fight for her love even though it was impossible, but why did it look like her lover wasn't forthcoming even after their agreement? Pamela was in recluse, her eyes suddenly turning blur as a result of the tears she could no longer hold. She had been trying to be strong, but the strong girl in her was slowly crumbling, and just then, the doorman rushed in, having what looked like a relief smile on his face. Mississippi Pamela, I think Mr. Ban is in the other hall also looking for you. Is there a mix in the halls? The man asked with uncertainty, while Pamela exchanged surprised stares with Haewon. Where is he? Which hall? Pamela fired at him, asking anxiously. Pamela's eyes widened, rolling left and right in the hall. Nothing looked familiar, not even her favorite touch in the decoration. Then, her eyes met with the groom, who looked impatient, eyes everywhere as if searching for something. But one thing stood out, his gorgeous eyes, so handsome, calm, yet intimidating from afar. He is not the... She hadn't finished her statement when Haewon tapped her shoulder. Your parents, they have arrived. Haewon informed her anxiously, and Pamela's heart skipped on seeing them. They were walking towards her, looking serious. Pamela knew what would happen if they arrived and not see Banjo or heard he was absent. She was the last person that wanted to be ruined. Let's welcome the bride. And just then the host called out with his loud voice pervading through the speaker. People at the entrance were smiling, both shocked and excited, urging her to enter the hall. Pamela and Haewon looked stunned on realizing what was happening. We have no time on our side, babe. We just... Haewon hadn't finished her statement when Pamela started walking into the hall. All that was in Pamela's mind as she walked down the aisle alone was accomplishing something in her parents' heart and letting them know love could prevail. But did she know who she was getting married to? The handsome Korean man, looking so charming and well-suited, was surprised to see Pamela, an African lady, approaching him with a weird smile on her face. He was Juwan, the elite billionaire heir of the One Group. You are... These were the incomplete words that escaped from his mouth as he stared at her in astonishment. Pamela quickly locked arms with him, forcing out a smile. Just play along. We will discuss further after this. She whispered to him, but his facial expression looked nothing like understanding. His parents, dressed in Korean hanbok, looked astonished to see a black lady being their son's bride. Juwan's mother attempted to cause a scene, but her husband stopped her. So all she did throughout the wedding process was angrily staring at Juwan and Pamela. You may kiss your bride, the priest's words echoed in Pamela's ears. That wasn't part of the plan, but before she could make any move, Juwan pulled her close to his chest. Their head made sideways turn, and he went in for a kiss. Surprisingly, it wasn't a kiss. Pamela inwardly scolded herself for expecting too much because Juwan used his thumb to stop their lips from crashing together and crowd applaud in excitement. The main storm had just began after the wedding. Juwan, we need to talk. His father grunted in annoyance as he walked out of the wedding hall with his wife. Pamela and Juwan stood in the luxurious hotel room, so spacious, with glass wall and a king-size bed. They stared at each other for a long time, unable to say a word to each other. I'm so sorry. Pamela broke the silence because she knew she was the one who was guilty, but Juwan shook his head. No, thank you. She looked surprised at his words. I was almost being humiliated on my wedding day, but you saved me. He began. I stood there for hours waiting for my bride, but she wasn't forthcoming. Though it took my parents as a surprise, but you saved my face. He added conclusively, and she let out a sharp breath of relief. Thank goodness. That means there won't be any need explaining myself. Pamela said, how about we call this off? I think our both parents have been convinced. She said, taking off the ring on her finger, and he shook his head.
No, not yet, he said.
What do you mean? Her eyes rolled all over him. We can't stop now. He made a comeback and she sighed. This is all an act, remember? She paused. My boyfriend stood me up, just like your partner. We only did what we did to save our both faces and get our parents off our backs. She tried to explain the situation over again to him as she was slowly getting annoyed. You started this, Pamela. You can't run away now. Do you know whose world you have crashed into? It would be a total shame and whirlwind of unstoppable rumors if we end this now. He said, tucking his hand into his trouser pocket while Pamela stood there, staring at him. So, what should we do? She finally spoke up. You will continue being my wife. She scoffed aloud immediately his statement landed. Can you hear yourself? I don't know you, no, we don't know each other. I don't even have any feelings for you. She cried out, and he smirked. Neither do I. But we need each other right now. He added. Mr. Juwan, right now, all that is in my mind, my head, my soul is finding my partner and ask him why the hell he did that to me, or if something had happened to him. She began. I'm not in the right state or mood to pretend to be your wife, I'm sorry. She said conclusively. Keep being my bride, and I will find your partner for you. She stopped in her tracks because she had attempted to leave the hotel room. He walked closer to her. I'm a Korean, so I know my way around here, and I will definitely find him faster. Until then, be my bride. He said in what sounded like a plea, and Pamela rolled her eyes. Your parents, you saw their gaze, right? They would never want their heir to end up with an African. Let's not force this.
She said.
About my parents, I'm not one of those heirs that don't have a voice. I will take care of them, but until I also find my partner, stay with me. Their eyes locked, and for the first time, Pamela was left speechless, unable to structure her words. So, you mean you will continue being his wife? Can't he understand that it was only an accident? Haewon fired at her, pacing in the apartment living room while Pamela's eyes were fixed on the address card as she remained seated. Just like her friend, she was also confused, but for some reasons, she lost her sense of reasoning, and she found it hard to say no to him. I think I will just go with it. He promised to find Banjo too, so I will benefit from it. Pamela's words filled the atmosphere as Haewon faced her. Are you sure about this?
She asked.
Yes, besides, I have to play a bride until my parents fulfill their own end of the deal and leave Korea. On hearing her words, Haewon let out a deep sigh. Yes, that's true. But she was about to ramble again when Pamela stood up and walked over to her. They stood close to each other as Pamela took her hands. I will be fine, Haewon. It's not like he would do something harmful to me. Pamela tried to assure her friend as they stood there, staring at each other. Sounds crazy, but Pamela never thought she would find herself in such situation in her life, getting married to a total stranger. Standing in the tall, luxurious-looking penthouse and gripping her luggage, she took a deep sigh. This was it. She was about to enter a world of no return, or maybe not. She hit the doorbell, and as if he had been waiting for her, the entrance door pulled open and she walked into the hallway skeptically, her eyes rolling at every corners in both shock and admiration. Though the penthouse looked plain, the artworks and extravagant furnishing were at its peak. "You are here." Juwan's voice called out to her immediately. She stepped into the spacious living room. "Do I have a choice?" She scoffed, and he smirked. "Thank you very much for accepting my offer." He sounded so tamed, not like some spoilt rich heirs. "So, how long do we get to do this?" she asked, crossing her arms as they stared at each other. "My investigators are already on the lookout. There will be news in a few days," he informed her, and she nodded in relief. "Until then, you have to do your own part as my wife." His voice came up again, and she looked at him. "Isn't that staying at home and cooking for you?" That was the simple life she had pictured, or was she wrong? He laughed shortly, shaking his head. "I'm not just a heir, Pamela. Everyone wants to know more about me, which means you will be joining me in whatever outdoor events." He explained to her meticulously. She hadn't completed her statement when he stopped her. "Tonight, we are meeting with my parents." His words made her purse her lips as he took a step closer to her. "They may sound harsh and try to end our relationship, but trust me, I have this under control. All you have to do is stick with me, and we will overcome this together." He whispered, and she sighed. "But why do I have to do this? It's not like Again, he cut her off by brushing a kiss on her cheek. Her cheeks flushed almost immediately at his touch, sending sharp shivers up her spine as their eyes locked, so close to each other. "I don't like hearing you say that. Don't regret saying this in the future." He whispered lustfully and stepped back. She swallowed hard on nothing, intentionally avoiding his gaze. "The maid will bring you an outfit for tonight. I will be waiting for you." With that, he walked out of the living room, leaving Pamela alone with her thoughts and beating heart. Juwan and Pamela locked arms as they walked into the gigantic glamorous mansion living room, sparkling with soft chandeliers, lights, and their footsteps echoing in the entire room. His parents were already waiting for them in the living room, standing with displeasing look on their face. "Juwan, I don't know what games you are trying to play right now, but this African woman? She is a no for me." His mother was the impatient type, and she wasn't so kind to keep everything at heart, thus she fired at them after a brief pause. Juwan chuckled. "Mum, is that the welcome we deserve?" Juwan asked his mother calmly. "You disobeyed us when you choose this woman, Juwan. Do you know what's at stake here?" His father's voice came up. None of them were having it cool, as their eyes tossed over to Pamela, who had remained silent all these while. "All you care about is the company's finance record, right? So, can you ignore the woman of my choice and focus more on something beneficial?" Juwan asked them, curling his lips, and they sighed heavily. "You are right." His father's word only irritated his mother, who turned to him. "Honey, this isn't what we agreed. I'm choosing a daughter-in-law for my son. At least save me some face in the public." She grunted. "I can never accept a black woman in this family." She cried out, and Mr. One faced her. "Forgive me, honey, then we will have to divorce," Mr. One said seriously, and Mrs. One's jaw dropped as she turned to him. Pamela also couldn't believe what was happening before her. Was he about to divorce his wife because of profit? Or was she not fully following what was going on? "What?" Mrs. One's voice finally found its way back into the conversation. "You of all people know I don't care about who your son marries. All I care about is his result in the company." Mr. One paused. "As long as she doesn't influence him wrongly to ruin our business, I have no interest in whoever he chooses to marry," Mr. One added, his statement making Juwan to nod in agreement, and Mrs. One hissed. "This is crazy. This is madness," she cried out with a loud, annoyed voice as she stormed out of the living room. In an influential family where her voice doesn't count, she felt bad, especially since her husband didn't side with her. With a deep sigh, Juwan faced his father. "So, shall we restart the introduction?" he asked sarcastically as they walked to the luxurious dining room. Pamela, still stunned, followed them from behind. This wasn't as she expected his parents to deal with the situation. Indeed, his family was weird. The dinner wasn't as tensed as Pamela had expected because his father seemed satisfied with Juwan's financial growth, so she wasn't much of a thorn on his flesh. They sat at the back seat in the car, riding back home. A lot has been going through in her head. The fact that she had been established as his wife. She felt things might get difficult in the future, but her trance was interrupted when he broke the silence. "How do you feel? What do you think?" he asked, facing her, and she sighed. "You resolved things faster than I expected. Your mother, how is she?" she asked. "My mom? She is already used to Dad choosing the company over everything else. She will come around," he said slyly, as though that wasn't his interest. "Good for you then. I guess I just have to lay low so things won't get complicated in the future," she said calmly, facing the other side of the window. "Do I annoy you that much that you can't take your mind off our accidental marriage? If you want, we can make things work for us," Juwan said sadly. "I don't think anything will work between us, Mr. Juwan. I really hope you will fasten the pace in your search for my partner," she said coldly without facing him. Inwardly, she was battling with her inner demon, who kept reminding her of the unbelievable truth. There was something between them, she knew, but she was trying hard to suppress it. The following week was a whirlwind of events. Juwan tried his best to win Pamela over, but she kept a strong front. She tried not to fall even when it felt so impossible. That evening, she was seated watching the television in the living room when Juwan returned from work. He looked so tired, but on seeing her, he forced a smile on his face. "You are back." She looked up at him. "Hope you weren't bored being alone all day," he said as he approached her and sat beside her on the armchair. "I explored the penthouse and got myself busy. I wasn't bored," she said before finally facing him. "How was work? You look tired." She suddenly sounded warm, which soothed Juwan for some reason. "Yeah, I was trying to clear my task for a month or two," he said. "Why?" she asked, raising an anxious brow. "Because I want to spend more time with you, Pamela," he informed her softly, and she cleared her throat even though nothing was giving her throat discomfort. "Ju," she attempted to speak when he stopped her, cupped her face. "Ella, can you please let your guard down whenever you are with me?" he whispered, their eyes lingering on each other in the dimly lit living room. "Juwan, what about your partner? We shouldn't be doing this," she said calmly. He was about to speak when his phone buzzed in his pocket. He adjusted away from her and pulled out his phone while Pamela stared at him, battling with her racing heart. "It's from the investigator." His face stiffened as he faced her again. "They have found my partner," he added. "What about mine? Any news?" she asked, looking so anxious and worried at the same time. Her anxiety and interest to meet her ex-fiancé again only got Juwan annoyed for some reason. He bit his lips, trying to control whatever that was building inside of him. "Are you that anxious to meet with him again?" he asked sadly. "Of course. I have thousands of unanswered questions for him," she said impatiently. "Too bad. That won't be possible," he said with a sharp groan, rubbing his forehead. "What do you mean?" she asked, her eyes all over him. "My ex-girlfriend, Unha, eloped with your ex-boyfriend, Banjo, out of the country on the day of our wedding," he spilled bluntly, and Pamela's jaw dropped. "What? How did they know each other?" She looked so shocked, in disbelief. "It seems they had both been cheating on us behind our back," he said with a deep sigh. "I guess Korean men are all cheaters then. I thought I had found a different one." These words escaped from her mouth when Juwan faced her. "Have you tried me yet?" he asked in what sounded like a whisper. "What makes you different?" she asked, raising an anxious brow. Juwan wasn't holding himself anymore. He pulled her closer and kissed her deeply. Their lips were tightly sealed as he kissed her passionately and hungrily, like he had been waiting for something like this. Pamela was stunned. She was annoyed and excited at the same time, but she couldn't push him off. She buried herself in the kiss, feeling his hands wrapping her waist. Then, they slowly pulled away from each other. Pamela felt so shy that she couldn't lock eyes with him. "Ella, from the moment you walked down that aisle, your courage attracted me, and for that, I fell madly in love with you. It happened in seconds, and He hadn't finished his statement when she stole a quick kiss from him. He chuckled in surprise. "You won. I was trying to hide my feelings all these while, grappling in the last hope that I still loved my ex-fiancé, but I guess I can't hide it anymore. He brushed her cheek. I love you, Juwan. I really do, and I also appreciate your lone effort all these while, she said with a soft smile, and he pulled her into a warm embrace. The following day, Pamela got a call that made her scurry out of the mansion without having a proper bath. Even the taxi ride felt so slow that she kept urging the driver to drive faster. Welcome, ma'am. She ignored the maid's greeting as she rushed into the mansion, looking anxious. You're here, Pamela's mother said, but she wasn't in the right state to discuss with her mother. She headed straight to her father, who read through a file, leg crossed while seated on the armchair in the living room. What was the meaning of that message, Dad? She fired as soon as she stepped in, looking annoyed. It's all you need to know. We are not fools. He dropped the file down and faced her. Banjo, your supposed husband ran away on your wedding day, and you found your way to deceive us with another man. Her father scoffed. Do you think we are fools? He asked. Her lips pursed that she couldn't say any word. All your shares are seized. No properties for you unless you get married to us men. Her father said seriously as he stood up. You are coming with us to Nigeria. There is no other way round about this. With that, he walked out of the mansion, leaving Pamela alone with her mother. She didn't know what to say, how to react, or what not. She thought she had successfully convinced them, but it seemed they were only playing along with her all these times. And right now, they were about to have their way in her life, by giving her no choice than to accept the man they had arranged for her. It's been 2 days, and Juwan hadn't heard from Pamela. The last time he saw her was when she ran out of the penthouse, but since then, there hadn't been any connection between them. He had been worried sick and scolded himself for not finding out more about her family. Though he had sent out instructions to his investigators, but there had been no news from them. He sat in his office, thinking deeply when a message dropped on his phone. The content caused him to jump up from the seat. I'm leaving Korea. It was short and simple, and from someone very familiar, from the person he loved. He grabbed his car key and tried reaching her, but her number wasn't connecting. Riding the car speedily on the road, he was praying inwardly that she hadn't gone and that he could stop her before he lost her forever. The fact that she didn't send him a message all these times, was there something else? He ran into the airport area like a mad dog, his eyes wandering at every corner, and when he spotted Pamela seated in between an African man and woman, he exhaled heavily in relief as he approached them. Ella, he called out to her, and Pamela looked up, looking shocked to see the masculine figure that stood before her. He was trying to control his breathing. Please don't go, he said after a brief pause. She walked closer to him, so sad. What's going on here? Pamela's father asked in a grumpy tone. Juwan, I don't think anything can happen between us, she whispered sadly, and he shook his head, closing the gap between them. Too bad. I can't live without you anymore.
He grabbed her hands.
What do you want me to do for you? What can I do to make you stay? He looked so desperate. My father. Pamela badly wanted to stay, but her parents weren't willing. They must live with their child. They no longer cared about Koreans. Young man, you are delaying our flight right now, Pamela's father said, and Juwan faced him. Pamela and I are married. Juwan said, in your dreams? Everything is fake and you know that. Her father reminded him seriously. I want to start afresh with Ella. I love her so much. Please, Juwan trailed off. Why should I leave my daughter to you? I once believed her love story, but not anymore. Right now, I want to use her for business transaction. You can call me selfish, but I'm being honest. Her father rashly explained to him. This was something Juwan was so familiar with. Then what kind of business is that? Maybe we could start discussing from billions of dollars investment or something. Pamela's father's gaze fluttered on hearing Juwan's statement. Was he serious? So, can I have my woman back? Juwan asked, curling his lips. By this time, Pamela stood beside him with a smile on her face. She didn't care about the current trade. All that matters was that she was with the man she had grown to love. She had known his true self and wouldn't falter from their trading. I guess I will have to stay in Seoul longer than planned. Her father cleared his throat nervously as he grabbed his luggage, shyly walking out of the airport. Her mother smiled and followed him from behind. She didn't care about anything other than her daughter's happiness. They were finally left alone, and with a deep sigh, Pamela faced him. "Am I worth all these?" "You don't." Pamela's statement was left incomplete as he kissed her, publicly stopping her from spilling anything else. The kiss was deep and passionate, and Pamela blended, enjoying the taste of his mouth. They slowly pulled away, their forehead placed on each other. "You are worth everything that I own, Ella. Even my life, and I want to spend it all with you," he whispered, causing her to blush and smile. "I love you more than you think, Juwan, and I'm not stopping soon." He had saved his future. He had saved himself for living in regret, and as they stood there in each other's embrace, a sigh of relief escaped from them. They had found their forever, and they would never let it go.